What is up, Nuggets? It's your boy, Killer Pizza, here with a brand new video for all you rascals and rapscallions out there. Now today, I'm going to review a movie that I've been looking forward to watching for a very long time. One that has been suggested to me from you guys and some of my friends from time to time, and I finally got at it, and that is 1995's Evil Ed, directed by Anders Jacobsson. Now this is a film from Sweden. It is kind of like a horror comedy, a big homage to old slashers from the 80s. Pretty much, a passion project from these guys, and it really shows. So, first of all, this movie didn't disappoint, but let me just get into this plot a little bit. Pretty much, it goes off of like the time. You remember back when the censors used to try to like take down movies and video games, saying that if you played the games or watched violent movies, you would become crazy and like kill everyone. They kind of like do a satire of that in a way, where this guy Ed, who's on the cover, who looks absolutely crazy on the artwork, which is amazing, by the way. Arrow Video always does a good job, but he works in the studio where he's like editing film, like these dramatic, like romantic comedies and just easy to watch films in this like studio. And he has to go meet his new boss. I believe they use the name Sam Campbell in this, so there's a lot of like horror references in this. But he meets his new boss, who's in charge of the horror department, and he tells Ed he has to edit these 5 new slasher movies so they can put them on the network and everything. So his new job is to cut out all the footage of gore so it's like appropriate for TV. So the boss sends Ed to like his guest house or something where he has editing like set up there so he can kind of like be by himself because it's crunch time and they got to get these films edited for TV. Now, where the movie gets fun is Ed ends up absolutely losing his mind editing these movies. So, like, the stereotype is true, where, like, at least in this movie, where he gets so, like, just like the imagery of the violence and horror gets so stained in his brain, and he watches it so much, which I feel is, like, part of him going crazy. He ends up losing his mind. And through this, you could argue if this is real, what he's seen, or like hallucinogenic stuff. I think the guy was hallucinating because he goes on to start seeing things like a monster in the fridge, and he sees all these demons and everything, and it drives him wacko. And he ends up, killing a lot of people and becoming Evil Ed. And the blood, guts, gore ensues. So, that's pretty much the plot. I don't want to give too much more away. Like, once he goes crazy, it's kind of like balls to the wall. So, this movie lived up to what everybody told me. I normally don't like kind of like weirder kind of horror movies, if that makes sense. But this had the right amount of comedy, the right amount of horror, the right amount of gore, that's for sure. Like I said, a film made in Sweden. I actually just bought this from Arrow Video, which is a beautiful release. It's got the original artwork with a reversible slip. Some fun special features, which also had like a 45-minute making of, which I just watched, which was like very insightful, which turns out that they started filming this in 1992, and by the time post-production was done and dubbing all the voiceovers, the film didn't get done till about 95. They didn't pay any of the cast or crew, and everyone was just happy to be there. And these 3 guys pretty much put everything they had into this Swedish film. And they delivered. It's a fun little parody to the classic 80s slashers, like I said. Obviously a pun on the name of Evil Dead. And yeah, this was great. The only negatives I would say would be at times it drags a little bit, but it's not too bad. And I've heard the critique that, like, since it was made in Sweden, the American voiceover sounded like, as they worded it, like English school, like, so it wasn't like how Americans actually talk. But I didn't really see any issue with it. Nothing too special with the characters. It's more like a look into the mind of madness from Evil Ed. I mean, they got a guy who is like the delivery boy that delivers all the new films for him to watch, and his girlfriend. I mean, nothing too special about them, but they do a good job in the movie. They have his boss, like I said, Sam Campbell, who's really good in this movie. I love that. Like I said, this is a shoestring budget, but to be honest, you can't really tell with a lot of the gore and everything. The gore in this movie is absolutely unbelievable. Like I said, when he is like just slashing up these no pun intended, when he's cutting down pun intended, when he's cutting down these films, they're actually like showing clips of the kills in the movies that he's cutting, and that's pretty cool little montage there. And you could just, I love the slow draw of him descending into madness. Like it first starts when he's kind of hearing some rustling around, then he wakes up in the middle of the night and hears like something in the refrigerator and opens it up, and it's like a garbage pail kids kind of like, practical effects, like monster eating all the food in the fridge, and he can't believe it and everything, and the monster's telling him to fuck off and everything, and he starts boarding up the house the next morning where he's really starting to lose it. And yeah, it does a really good job of like showing that slow burn of him going kind of crazy. There's a scene where he like goes into the basement and he sees like this character here, which is like this dude with his face all mangled up like surgically, and like this weird like surgical room. Like it really reminded me of Clive Barker's Hellraiser, which is a good thing with this character because, I mean, if you can call him that, because this movie will have you laughing, but then they'll show like a character like this. It's so gruesome, and it's just like it takes you back, kind of like, oh fuck, like. So this guy pretty much makes a deal with him, that he's got to kill everyone, I believe, something like that. I don't remember what he told him, but it created the madness that made Ed evil. And I don't want to give too much away. I know his boss ends up turning into like this. They call him the White Demon or White Devil in the documentary, but it looks just like what's his name? Curry. Everyone's gonna hate me because I can't remember his name from it. Tim Curry. All right, I got it. Yeah, it was a pretty cool looking devil like that and everything, and he ends up killing his boss and going crazy. And this is where I think like he's seeing things like, because it does a good job of like cutting back and forth between what is real and what isn't. You know what I mean? And so it's open for like your opinion, like The Shining. Like I think Jack Torrance never seen ghosts. I thought he just went nuts. And I think the same thing with this movie. These are like what he's hallucinating about. But yeah, for such a low budget movie, they do an absolutely amazing job with this gore. It's like some of the best gore I've seen in a long time. And his descent into madness is very like true and realistic. I as crazy as this movie is. But yeah, and they actually made a choice to dub this movie over in England, dub it over to England into English, because they thought they would get more movies sold if it was in English, which is the truth, because apparently this is like the third best-selling, most like distributed movie in Sweden. I learned from the documentary, 60 different countries, which is very impressive. Uh, yeah, and there's just lots of little cool Easter eggs in here, little cool horror references, and the dialogue's pretty fun. Really good cinematography, like good angles, good cuts, and everything. When you don't have a big budget in horror films, you better make sure either your dialogue is good or your cinematography is good, like good cuts, good edits, and everything. And that really resonates with me when a film is good, because like some of the worst movies I watched recently are just like these dragging on shots of like the woods and everything. And Don't Go in the Woods Alone, I'll say it again, that was the one. That movie fucking sucked. But yeah, this movie was great. I pretty much liked everything about it. It, like I said, it dragged a little bit at times, but it was well worth it. And there's like a whole action scene at the end with like the military coming into this hospital with like machine guns and everything. And it totally gets batshit crazy. Which I didn't really want to give a spoiler to the end of this movie or like towards the end of the movie, but I have to like talk about one thing I really like. Obviously the gore. I've been explaining what I do like, but I've seen something in this movie I never seen before, where this guy gets shot in his hand by a shotgun. His hand gets shot off, and then he grabs his hand to like hold the where it's shot off at, and then he gets shot at the elbow, and his forearm comes off of his arm. So then you just got him holding just his handless forearm in the air. And I don't know, it's like a horror fan with a lot of issues in my life, apparently. I really enjoyed that scene of a guy getting his hand blown off and then his forearm blown off his arm while he's holding his forearm. Just so many little things like that that are going to be much appreciated by a horror fan. Like, I'd probably have to watch this one back to really appreciate it more. But after watching the documentary and seeing this was kind of a passion project from these guys and how successful they were from it was very fun to see. They came off as good guys, and this was a good film. Like I said, I normally don't go over things this bonkers, off the wall, batshit crazy, as I like to say, but this was really good. I would give it, let's see, 4 out of 5. 4 crazy refrigerator monsters out of 5 is what I would give it. I only don't want to give it 5 because like I got to start writing down my rankings because I don't want certain titles going over others. I gotta, even though it's like whose line is it anyways? These rankings don't really matter. Even though I do mean it, a solid 4 out of 5. I would suggest this for any horror fan out there. This needs to be in your collection. And if you're a fan of Arrow Video like I am, they do a good job. Always great product. This film looked amazing on Blu-ray. And from what I have heard, I don't know if this even ever got a DVD release in America. So this is a good buy. Lots of cool documentaries, cool special features and everything. This must for any horror fan to buy. And honestly, you could throw this on in a room with your friends that don't like horror. Just so you guys are kind of chilling out, drinking some brewskis and shit. It's a fun movie to watch. You'll be very entertained. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Evil Ed was awesome. I think you guys in Sweden did one hell of a job. I would recommend this to anyone. Yeah. Watch this movie. Go buy it. Go buy it. Hurry up and buy. But other than that, I hope everyone's doing good with the second outbreak of COVID. Like I said before, wear a mask, wash your hands, wash your ass. Other than that, watch some good horror movies. You guys, let me know what you're watching in the comment section, and let me know if you've ever heard of this movie or seen it. Other than that, Blog Gets Gore. I'll check you guys next time.